Do you want to get to 10% body fat? Track these 5 things. Sean here from Fit Fusion Brotherhood. 10% body fat is an elusive goal for a lot of men out there. Really is kind of that holy grail. And as someone who's been down to 10% body fat a few times in his life, I can tell you it doesn't happen by accident. You're not just going to get down to 10% body fat by winging it. Now you can get pretty far just by eating healthier and moving around more and not really tracking things. But if you want to get to that next level, if you want to get to that 10% body fat, there are some things that you will need to track in order to get to that point. Now, the good news is it's very possible, it's very realistic, and there are more than one way to just get to that result. The bad news is you do have to have a plan, you do have to have a system. Like I said before, I've got down to 10% body fat a few times and I've done it a few different ways, but I always made sure there were 5 things that I was tracking. So in this video, I'm going to explain what those 5 things are and why you should track them. Make sure you wait till the end because number 5 is something that I find super important that a lot of people just don't talk about. So the first one's going to be a surprise to absolutely nobody, and that's tracking your calories. So calories aren't the only thing, but they are the most important thing. And whether or not you choose to track them, they still matter. Because at the end of the day, your body weight is going to be a result of your energy balance. If you're taking in more than you're burning off, you're going to gain weight. If you're burning off more than you take in, you're going to lose weight. So it's the whole calories in versus calories out. Calories out is relatively complex, and we'll get to that a little bit later on in the video. But calories in is one of those things that you absolutely can control, and it's going to make the biggest difference of whether or not you're losing body fat and to which extent and to how far you can get there. Because personally, I don't know anyone who's got to the really, really elite level of leanness without tracking or being super aware of their calories. If you're wondering what a good target might be, for the average person, get your body weight, multiply it by 10, aim for that calorie goal. And instead of absolutely stressing over it every single day, think of it as a weekly average. So if you have a couple days that are over, a few days that are under, it doesn't really matter as long as it averages out. So the first and probably most important tip to track in order to get down to that 10% body fat is to track your calories. The second thing you should be tracking is protein. So notice I'm not going to talk about all of the macros here. Protein is the most important one, and there's a few reasons why you should absolutely prioritize your protein. Number 1, because you're getting down to 10% body fat, it's not just the low body fat that you're looking for. There's a specific physique that you probably want, and protein's going to help build, maintain muscle, and also help you with recovery. It's also going to help increase your thermic effect of feeding. What that means is the more protein you eat, the more calories you actually burn. Remember I said earlier, not all calories are created equal. So a calorie or 100 calories of pure carbs or fat versus 100 calories of protein will be digested differently, and your body's actually going to burn off more of the protein. So as a general rule of thumb, this is a little bit aggressive for some, but it's a good suggestion to at least start off with. Get your body weight, multiply it by 0.8 to 1, and try to aim for that in terms of grams. So if you're 150 pounds, aim for between 130 to 150 grams of protein. And you can track protein and calories through an app like MyFitnessPal or many other apps out there that do the exact same thing. The third thing you should track is your body weight or any sort of metric that allows you to determine whether or not you are progressing. So I choose to use the scale, but if you want to use body fat, measurements, anything that is objective, anything tells you whether or not you're moving in the right direction is absolutely crucial. I understand how tempting it can be to not want to focus on this, especially if it can negatively impact the way you're kind of viewing yourself. But this is super important because if you're looking to get down to 10% body fat, for most guys, that means you're going to have to drop some pounds in general. And you can feel great, but if the scale isn't changing, it can be kind of a false sense of progress. So make sure you're always tracking progress. Make sure you're going in the right direction. The one great thing about being able to track all of these different metrics is that if the weight isn't going down, there are those levers that you can pull. You have the data. You can kind of adjust and fix from there. But if you're not tracking other things, you might not understand why the weight's not going down. Or if you're not tracking your weight, you might think that you're doing all of the right things and you might feel great, but you're really not progressing. So make sure you're understanding that you have to have some sort of metric to determine whether or not you are progressing in the direction you want to. Number 4 is to track your steps. And it's very easy to do so now. You can do it on your phone. If you have an iPhone, it automatically has that health app. If you have an Android, you can download apps, or you can use any sort of wearable technology. Now, tracking your steps is super important because one of the ways that we burn calories, one of the highest ways that we burn calories, is a concept called NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And this just means that we're burning a ton of calories through daily movements outside of exercise. So we tend to think of workouts as the only way that we burn calories, but it's actually the lowest percent of calories burned throughout the day. And one of the highest percentage, especially amongst active individuals, is just the amount of daily movement that you get. And if you were to see a lot of bodybuilders or anyone that's really trying to get to a lean physique, they're not doing a ton of cardio. You ask them what their cardio is, and it's typically walking. It's getting those steps in. It might be on an incline, it might be on a treadmill, it might just be outside. It could be pacing back and forth, whatever it is. But tracking those steps is crucial. I always see a very strong correlation between the fittest people I know and the amount of steps that they're taking. So it's one of those easy ways to burn more calories, to feel better. You can do it and multitask while you're on work calls and get stuff done at the same time. You're going to feel better. You're going to look better. It's just an absolute great way to burn more calories. You can use your phone. You can use wearable technology. A good goal to aim for is 10,000. Now, for some people, 10,000 might be super easy. For others, that might seem insurmountable. So find where you're at and try to push just a little bit. Don't feel like you have to go from 1,000 to 10,000, but do as much as you can and just be absolutely aware that these steps do matter. And daily movement is probably more important when it comes to calories burned than just the workout itself. Number 5. So this one I teased earlier on because I don't think enough people prioritize it, but it's tracking fiber. So I didn't talk about fat, I didn't talk about carbs, I didn't talk about those macros, but fiber to me is very important for a few reasons. Number 1, like protein, fiber is going to help you feel full. Number 2, especially if you're looking to drop body fat, you're probably going lower calories, you're probably going lower carbs, which means your fiber is going to be low, which means you might have some digestive issues. If you neglect that or forget about it, it's going to be a problem. Your stomach's going to be hurting, you're going to have digestive issues, and you're going to hate what you're doing. So make sure you prioritize fiber. And then third, like I said, not all calories are created equal. Like I mentioned earlier, with protein burning more calories than other macros, fiber actually does a similar effect. So instead of actually burning calories through digestion, fiber basically takes some of the food and brings it down the digestive tract. So you're not really consuming and taking in all the energy that you're giving in. So for example, if you're taking in 100 calories of a really fibrous food, your body might only be able to process about 80 calories of that, and then it just gets rid of the other 20. Okay, so when we're talking about the amount of calories that you're taking in throughout the day, if you have a high diet in fiber and protein, the amount of calories that you burn because of that and the amount of calories that you're actually taking in because of that will be much different than having a bunch of calories that are just carbs and fat. So fiber, like I said, very important for a few reasons. A lot of people neglect it, even more important during a fat loss phase. So you can use like a MyFitnessPal app. It'll give you a recommendation. For most guys, 35 to 40 is a good range to go for. If you can't hit that with your food alone, you can supplement it with a supplement like Metamucil or other fiber brands that can help you get those numbers up. So there you have it. Those are the 5 metrics that I always track when getting down to 10% body fat. I'm curious if you've gotten down to that point or even close to that point, and there's something that you track that you find super valuable that maybe others can relate to as well. If you enjoy these videos, do us a favor, please like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one.